I'm Vincent and I'm the IT Staff Development Officer at York St John University. We're currently piloting the PebblePad e-portfolio system. The stimulus or interest for using PebblePad to record CPD activity really is based around sort of professionalising our current system, our current method of recording and feeding back CPD taking place. We'd like to sort of more closely monitor and review current CPD activity, and where appropriate share CPD activity across the institution, so allowing members of staff to partake in CPD activity and then come back to the institution with feedback as to what it is they've done, any attendance at conferences and events, things like that. We'd also like to gain an insight into the types of CPD that's going on and identify possible trends if there are any. We'd like to formalise the process so that we get a sort of a return on investment for the institution, so staff come back and feedback what they've done for the CPD. And it'll also be a good way to benchmark where we are at the moment and then measure distance travelled for members of staff from when they join the institution or from when they start recording their CPD activity. So some of the possible ways we're thinking about using the e-portfolio for CPD, things like initial assessment for new members of staff using the profile tool, for example, some planning and setting goals from the outset, again those are for new members of staff, tracking any activity related to those goals, possibly evaluation of any training they go on, internal and external, having a preset pro forma for them to complete at the end of a training activity. Their annual review, our appraisal process called performance development review. We'd like to think staff could record evidence throughout the year and bring it all together and share it with their line manager at appraisal. We'd also like staff to record the personal journey, any critical incidents, any critical friendships that they form whilst at the university, and also the peer observation of learning and teaching, which is our academic observation process. We'd also like to think staff could use it to record and reflect any activities for education, training and skills purposes, possibly again on our postgraduate certificate for academic praxis. We'd also like staff to possibly record and share their attendance and experiences at conferences and events, so to return back to the institution with whatever they've gained from an event and feed that back into some sort of central repository so that our staff can see who's been to what conference and what they gained from it, and hopefully make contact if it's something that they're interested in. Also, possibly for professional accreditation, some members of staff are already using it for certain professional bodies, and would like to possibly extend that if some professional bodies are willing to accept PebblePad or e-portfolios as a method of recording evidence, and to have some sort of consistency and collation of staff CVs, so we had a consistent format that staff could keep updated in an e-portfolio account and have some sort of central way of recording that. In order to engage staff in the process of using an e-portfolio, we hope to expose them to it at induction as early on as possible in their time at the university. Try and create clear links between career planning, promotional opportunities for them to record the CPD. Also link it to current policies and procedures, so for example having a policy in place whereby they have to annually update their CVs, where they have to share attendance at conferences and events, and to tie it in with a formula approach for funding for staff development activities, whereby perhaps if staff don't come back, reflect and sort of feedback on their CPD activity, then perhaps the department or faculty isn't awarded as much money the following year for staff development budget. Current training and support has been centred around how staff use it with students, given that we're currently in a pilot phase. But I think moving forward, the level of training and support will be more based around why staff should use it to record the CPD, how it links with current policies and procedures, how they can get the most out of it. But I think most staff so far have found it quite intuitive. It hasn't been very resource intensive in terms of my time training and delivering sessions or workshops. Staff have quite comfortably found their way around the system quite easily. In order to mainstream or roll out our e-portfolio used for CPD, The plan would be to trial it initially with key users, perhaps some call them e-portfolio champions or power users, people who are sort of at the forefront of trialling new technologies and new things as part of their ongoing routine. Hopefully we'd like to carry out a pilot and see how that works with staff and for them recording their CPD. We'd like to then target middle managers, provide some sort of management briefing sessions, hopefully allowing them to see the benefits of the portfolios for CPD and for appraisal process, and then hopefully to pick up and emphasise the use of the portfolio with any engagement with staff development, so staff attending training events or workshops. Would hope to sort of direct them towards the portfolio in order to record the CPD as a result of those. At present we haven't come across any technical difficulties or obstacles when using the e-portfolio software. We have a hosted service. It's relatively small scale with around about 750 licenses at the moment, so the technical difficulties have been non-existent, to be quite honest. In terms of financial difficulties, there'll be implications obviously on resources perhaps for training. Whether or not our pilot is successful will inform whether we go ahead with a campus license or a larger scale license agreement. Obviously that will have financial implications. And in terms of privacy and confidentiality, I guess it's just a case of allaying staff fears and letting them see that it's not as insecure. Hopefully putting policies and procedures in place so that we have a hosted service. There aren't direct links with our virtual environments, just to ensure that staff are reassured that administrators or IT professionals don't have access to personal PebblePad accounts. Some of the benefits we're hoping to see from using e-portfolios for CPD is that recording CPD activity becomes a more inherent process, becomes more of the norm, more routine for staff to, on a regular basis, keep up to date their activities, keep up to date their e-portfolio, hopefully let them see themselves the distance they've travelled since becoming a member of staff here, and hopefully make the process of performance development review and appraisal, make it a less painstaking process in that the evidence is already there for them to demonstrate how they've moved on. So we're hoping that the benefits, those will be the benefits to staff.